Hello, welcome back to my channel Lomzy Sews. In today's sewing tutorial, I'll be showing you guys how to cut and sew a tiered dress with tulle net. If that's what you're looking for, continue watching till the end to see how I made it. This tutorial is very simple and is beginner friendly. If this is your first time coming across my channel, remember to subscribe and turn on your notification bell. To sew this, I'll be using this tulle net. I have here 15 yards of fabric, and that is because this fabric stretches a lot. If it's the ones that are on the thumbnail, I use 30 yards for them because the fabric is light. This one is very stretchy, as you can see. So if I use anything more than 15 yards, it will stretch and it will not be nice. Already it's stretched. You can see that it's long even when I use the same measurement. So make sure yours would not be this stretchy if you want it to be the same thing that you have on the thumbnail. So when you be cutting yours, make sure that the fabric, that is the circumference of the fabric, is the side that is not stretchy. Can you see? So the side that is stretchy will be the lengthwise. So remember, the circumference is on this side. I'll set this aside and I'm going to cut it on pattern paper. I'm cutting on pattern paper because my fabric will not allow me to, you will not see what I'm cutting. So what you're going to do is that if you're cutting on your fabric, you're going to fold your fabric into 4. So you fold it once like this, and then you fold it again, and that is because you're cutting both the front and the back the same thing. So this is how you're going to fold your fabric. So I'm going to draft the bodice pattern, the yoke. I'm going to draft the yoke on the pattern paper so that you will see what I'm making. First, I will square out a line where I'll be starting all the measurements from, and that line will serve as the shoulder line. So this allowance I'm leaving here will allow me to make it easier for me to add allowance when I'm cutting it. So make sure you have this allowance, that way it's easier. So this is the center front and the center back, and I'm going to take my armhole length from here. An easier way to know how to get your armhole length: from your shoulder slope, you divide the hips divided by 6 plus 1.5. Whatever you get, that is what you put from the shoulder slope to the armhole length. I hope you understand. I will explain better. So I'm going to mark my armhole length here, and I'll add ½ inch joining allowance to that place. If you're cutting on your fabric, make sure you always add your sewing allowances. Next is for me to make the shoulder slope. For me to do that, I'll divide my shoulder divided by 2. So my shoulder is 15 inches divided by 2 will give me 7.5, and that's what I will put here. So how you get your shoulder width is by taking from one end of the elbow, shoulder elbow, to the other. Whatever you have, divide that by 2, and that's what you have here. So I'm going to draw this line. I will square it out down to the armhole line. Next, I'm going to make the shoulder slope. So for me to do that, I'm going to get the width of my neckline. The width of my neckline is 3 inches. I'll mark it here. And then on the armhole line, I'm going to come down 1 inch. So for you to get your armhole length, this is where you're going to calculate from. From this shoulder slope, you're going to divide your hips divided by 6 plus 1.5. So whatever that is, from this place, this shoulder slope, down to the armhole, that is what that would be. Then if you want to know the full armhole length, add the 1 inch that you have come down with. I hope I made sense. So the next thing we are going to do now is to get the circumference of the dress. On this armhole line, I'm going to divide the bust divided by 4. So my bust is 42 inches. I will divide that by 4. Whatever I get, I'm going to impute that on the armhole line. So the bust 42 divided by 4 will give me 10.5. I'm going to impute it on the armhole line. So I'm going to go ahead and add sewing allowance. You decide if you want your sewing allowance to be 1 inch or you want it to be ½ inch, whichever one, but for me I'm going to use 1 inch. So next is to mark the armhole curve. For me to do that, I'm going to divide from here to the armhole length. I'm going to divide it into 2. So this is just to give me a guide on how to mark the armhole curve. So from here, I'm going to make a curve like this. You can use your free hand or you can use your curve ruler to do this. So here I'm marking the back armhole curve. This is a free pattern, so that's why I use my free hand to do that. You can as well use your armhole curve to do it. Can you see? It aligns also. So next is for me to draw the front armhole curve. For me to draw that, on this line that I have made for the guide, I'll come in 3/8 and mark it here. And then I'm going to mark the armhole curve for the front. Connect it to this place. So now this will be the front armhole curve. Next is for us to get the neck depth. The neck depth for the back, I'm going to come down 1 inch. And I'll connect it to the shoulder like this. Also for the front, I'm going to come down 4 inches. Remember, for the pattern, both the front and the back are the same thing. The only difference is at the neckline and the armhole curve. So this is it for this pattern. You go ahead and add sewing allowance to it. Please don't forget to add sewing allowance to this. I went ahead and added ½ inch sewing allowance to all of them. On the neckline, if you decide whether you want to bind your own, but for me I didn't bind it, so I didn't add sewing allowance to mine. So this is it for the bodice block, the yoke. We'll go over to the sleeve. I'll use this other side of the pattern paper to cut the sleeve. So for us to cut the sleeve, I will also measure out a line, a straight line that I will be working from. So from this line, I'm going to come down 5 inches. This is for us to make the sleeve head. So you come down 5 inches and you're going to square the line out there. Next is for us to mark the length of the sleeve. So now for you to mark the length of the sleeve, you're going to decide the full length of the sleeve. So if you want it to be 14 inches, 13 inches, whatever, you're going to minus the main sleeve minus the side that will be gathered. So for me, I want that place to be 8 inches. The rest will be for the gathered area. So I'll mark 8 inches here as the length of the sleeve. For the gathered side, I finally made it to be 10 inches. So this is what I have here. Next is to draw the sleeve head. For me to draw it, I'll have to measure the armhole curve and place it diagonally like this. So measure this place. I made a mistake and placed it straight instead of placing it diagonally. Please don't make that mistake. So whatever I got here, I'm supposed to place this diagonally, not straight like this. So I will now place whatever I got from the armhole. So this is how I'm supposed to place it, not straight like that. So you place it diagonally like this, and you're going to get the midpoint. So the midpoint, you're going to mark it here, and you're going to draw the sleeve head. I'm trying to check if my camera is showing properly. So you're going to draw the sleeve head like this. You're going to connect it to this point. You go lower like this. So come up this way touch this midpoint and you come under like that. It's not supposed to get to this place just because I measured this wrongly. So the next thing to do on the lower side of the sleeve, you're going to take your upper arm measurement and divide that by 2. Mine is 16 inches. If I divide it by 2, I will have 8 inches. So on this place, I'm going to place the 8 inches here and add 1 inch sewing allowance. So I'm going to connect it to this place. Then remember to add ½ inch sewing allowance for you to join it. So this is it for the pattern, both for the yoke of the dress and the sleeve. I'll go ahead and cut this out on my main fabric. So this is the yoke. You guys can see I cut the two of them together. The only difference is in the neckline. So I'll go ahead now and place this together like this, and I'm going to sew the shoulder and the side seam. So this is it after sewing them. Next thing we are going to do is to get the lower part of the dress. So I'll set the yoke aside. So the full length of the dress is 40 inches and the length of the yoke is 9 inches, right? So I minus 9 inches minus 40. Whatever that is, you're going to divide the remaining part into 3. Make sure all your tiers, the 3 tiers, are equal. So that way it will be easier for you to, use what you have cut out. So what I have here is 10 inches. But remember, guys, that this fabric stretches a lot. So it's going to give me more than the 10 inches that I cut out. But if you use this measurement that I have told you, you're going to get exactly the same thing I have on the thumbnail. So this is me after I have gathered it. Can you see? So first, I'm going to add this first tier to the yoke. So you're going to just, after sewing the yoke, remember I've finished sewing the yoke. So I'm going to go to my machine now and place this first tier to the yoke. You're not going to gather the yoke. You just sew it round like that. And you're going to place the next tier on this one and sew it. So you're not going to, any tier you're adding the gather to, you're not going to stretch it. Can you see how it is after gathering it? Make sure you use your gathering foot, else it will be hard for you to do. So what I did, let me open it up. You can see the tier that I added the gather, I didn't gather it. I hope I'm making sense. So let me show you what I mean. So this, I'm going to leave it straight like this, and I'm going to place the gathered tier to it. So you'll just place this straight on your machine like this, and you're going to place the next tier to it straight like this and sew it around. So after I'm done doing this, this is how it looks, guys. But guys, can you see that this is this is bouncy, or what will I call it? So it's drawing more than the length that I cut out. Let me put it up so that you will see. So can you see how it's bouncy? Oh, it's not showing on my camera. Anyways, this is the type of tulle net that I have. So I just wanted to show you guys how to make this. But this stretches a lot. I knew it was going to, my length was going to increase. You see how stretchy it is. Anyways, next is for us to add the sleeve. For me to add the sleeve, I've already gathered the lower part of the sleeve to my sleeve. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go to my machine and place the sleeve like this. Just place it to the armhole, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So let me bring the sleeve and show you guys how it looks. Yeah, so I'm going to also sew this to this place. Can you guys see? Yeah, I didn't do anything to the neck. So guys, we have come to the end of today's tutorial. I'll see you guys on my next video. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it or if you learned any new thing today. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh. Yeah. Okay, guys. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.